welcome to everybody. It's great to see so many of you on this session today. Believe me, I know how sunny it is outside, and I'm very impressed that you've taken a wee bit of time just to come and join one of these summer sessions. The Chamber's really delighted to work with the University of Dundee, and we do an awful lot of work, lots of which is around employability skills and making sure that businesses are well connected to students and to the university itself. So the Career Service is a really vital part of the university and the work that we do together. And obviously this is one in a series of summer sessions that you can take part in. So it'll be an interesting time for us to just talk about what business is like. You know, what was it like before we went into all of the coronavirus crisis, what's been happening, what that means for students and future workforce, and how businesses are just generally coping through this time. So as Sarah said, there'll be a chance to hear from a couple of businesses about what's happening locally, and then we've got questions and we'll just have a bit of a general discussion. So I'll come back on once Lorenzo and Jen have had a chance to give you an update, and then we'll just have a facilitated discussion. So if you've got any questions, then please put them in the chat, and we'll just hopefully answer all the questions you've got. So I'm going to invite Lorenzo in from Baker Hughes first. So Lorenzo, when I can hear you, when you're unmuted, I'll mute and get out of your way.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Sure can.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. I mean, it's a pleasure for me to be tonight here with all of you. It's a lot of people, young future talent that we are all looking for a bright future. So what we try to do here tonight is really to share a bit of experience, what happened in the last 3-4 months, which is probably more than 3-4 months. It is, the sense is that it's been a longer period, but what we're trying to do is to share with you some of the learnings, some of the transformations, some of the things that we all learned, and how we're going to face the future in a different way. So it's kind of a reflection on how we went through this pandemic, what we changed and transformed, and what we learned from the future, and what opportunity opens for a new talent that are approaching the work for the future. What new skills or what skills are really looking for you in the future. Before going through the presentation, I prepare a few pages for you just to give you a pictorial view of what happened and some of the learnings and experiences. I want to introduce a little bit myself. I'm the Global Supply Chain Director since the last 6 years, based in Aberdeen, responsible for the subsea production systems and offshore. Basically, I'm working for Baker Hughes, so basically I'm in the oil and gas industry, definitely part of a global multinational companies, a sector that clearly is going through significant challenges for different reasons beyond the coronavirus. But for when you think about Scotland, when you think about the northeast of Scotland, we definitely play a significant role in the industry. We've been attracting significant and numerous number of talents in the past, and we have a lot of transformation that we are thinking about as in the future to continue to be attractive and to continue to need talents from every part of the university. So I'll do now the next challenge here to try to share my screen with presentations. So stay with me. We tested the process just before, so it should be all fine. So going there. Know if you can see the screen, please.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Perfect. Should be now. You can see the screen now?
It looks like it's coming. Yep, there you go.
Thank you very much. So challenge number one surpassed, right? So I structured this agenda in these 4 areas, right? First of all, the pandemic, right? An unpredicted scenario. I would like to share with you a bit how a company of the size of Baker Hughes approached something that we never really be represented in many of the scenarios, the business scenario that we've been prepared for. And this is the first number 1 learning. how we responded to that, so the operational challenge, how the structure, how the resources are readapted to the new reality, and how these are specifically from my operational point of view, how the manufacturing, how the production, how the logistics, how we keep business going. And the last part is the how the digital is transforming and creating a new normality in these environments. I mean, I'm a fan, I'm always been of the transformation that digital can bring, even in a very conservative industry segment like the oil and gas. Now, more than ever, I think I'm even more important. And talking to a generation like yours, you are the next generation that's going to keep that continuing and evolving. And that's probably the biggest opportunity for you all in the call. So starting from an unpredicted business scenario. Again, I can guarantee you I'm 23 years in the business, working for General Electric. I have been in supply chain many years. I can guarantee you I've been doing training, preparation sessions, scenario planning, everything to prepare the business for the worst. Flooding, potential, loss of communication, logistics challenge. But we never really look at the chapter of a pandemic. We always underestimated that scenario. Even we did everything possible, that became a chapter that we never really explored in deep enough to be prepared. So how you do react to something that even if you got significant training, you've been doing a lot of business scenario, you were not really have simulated. And that's the major question mark. And you will learn and you will see that it's not a matter of what is the next challenge. It's about your attitude, your ability to learn, your ability to adapt and to transform yourself. So be ready for your next challenge. You will always have an unpredicted variable that you cannot control. Don't be scared about that. Be conscious that you need to be comfortable with uncomfortable situations. So that's the first thing that we all faced. Let's start the story here. Let's give a bit of context, right? So closer to you, closer to this country, and where we are. So first of all, this is a bit of the pictures of my operations in Montrose. Probably some of you have seen some press last year. It was almost a year ago, actually a year ago and a few days, where I was officially opening with my team with a lot of officials, an incredible capability, a subsea center of excellence, a one single unique capability in the globe where the Baker Hughes established a unique concentration of resources, of workforce, of talent to produce a subsea production systems for the globe. When I mention subsea production systems, probably for not all of you is completely familiar, but basically our mechanical equipment to support extraction of oil and gas coming from the sea and the deep water, which sometimes is absolutely crucial and difficult. So this is what we are trying to produce. So this business, these situations, how the Baker Hughes responded. So I said before that we have a lot of chapters in our in the business continuity, business scenarios, but we never really simulated that. So, but we have tools, and we got two tools that we immediately implemented. The crisis management team was established, and also the implementation of a business continuity plan. I'm sorry, there are some few things coming up. Let me go through the couple of pages here, where I want to illustrate to you a bit of what this means. So again, a company of the size of the Baker Hughes, global business, organized in functions with a lot of disciplines, immediately brought all together all the best resources of the best brains around facing the challenge, understanding the resolution, creating the procedures, understanding how to react, what stop, what continue. So as you can see on the left side, this is the matrix of the crisis management team that was established, for example, for the Europe region, where, for example, I was part as a supply chain representatives. So putting in place an operating rhythm every day, talking about the issues, talking about the cases, talking about what's the situations, what to stop, what to continue, how to split, the workforce versus the employee, how to correlate all the activity with our customers, with our major stakeholders, how to correlate with the local authorities that was driving a lot of decisions around the globe, making sure that we were coordinating with that. On the right side, everything that we started to implement was all around how we can continue business, how we can continue to minimize any disruption on our execution. For our case specifically, we were part of a very specific sector of the industry, which is the energy sector, that for which we have been, been exempt to be, stopped for activity. So we face an opportunity also to, to have a minimal operations being active without everything, with everything that was going on. So the business continuity plan was how we can continue to produce production systems despite the COVID, how we can continue to have the factory active. And that was a major implementation and challenge that we developed through that. So when you think about as this was resulting in an important operational challenges guidelines, that was basically our documentation, our procedures, how to respond to the challenge, and to proceed creating procedures and processes. So just to give you a kind of a double of examples of, the company developed response guideline at site level that was helping every single site leader to continue to understand what to do with the people in the office, what to do with the people in the shop floor. And also we have a specific business continuity plan that you can see an example there for our Montreux sea oil bales, where we have all the logistics activity. And when you think about these last 3, 4, 5 months, we basically, have a journey that started with stopping the work and putting, at minimum risk every one of our employee. And we dictated for each one of the people that was not impacting the operations to work from home. And we created all the conditions to protect our frontline employee to continue to stay in the factory, to continue to work. So our journey started from how we called it the work from home documentation and finishing in the return to work policy, which is basically the phases that we are facing now. We are trying to understand how in a phased way we can make our people safely coming and returning to work. We are a multi-global, multinational company in a global scale, and metrics is very important. Our customers are really depending on our, energy generation and consumption on our equipment, on our capability to continue to produce. This is a scorecard that I would like just to share with you, that every single day we have been monitoring, developing across the years, across the month, to make sure that we were providing an updated pictures to our customers, to our internal stakeholders. As you can see, in a very simple way, this is summarizing basically the list of sites that we currently are responsible for, the percentage of operational capacity that we have, available at the moment. This is actually the situation I made this morning. And over that, there is all the actions that we are taking to continue to have, minimal business disruption. When you look at the percentage there, I'm amazed to see that today we are, in places 100% capacity. There are still places where we still have a challenge, but I can guarantee you when we started, that number was much lower, and the ability for us to understand how to recover was not completely known. But we tried to do our best. We tried first of all to keep HSE always at the top of every decision. Let's share with you a bit of in terms of practical terms. So you are running a global supply chain. You have 600 people working for you. 80% of those are frontline. You have an energy sector for which you are critical and you cannot stop. But you have a significant, data that come every day from, looking at BBC, every news paper that is, the world is crashing. The situation is not under control. How you can handle those two things together are not easy decision to be made. There is a lot of responsibility, and that's where, the adaptability, the perseverance and the resilience to understand that on a daily basis becoming a significant skills that going to differentiate you and yourself and your company in approaching that. And the interesting thing that we'll share with you now is that how we changed, how we transform ourselves, how different we are today. Starting with the factory, right? These are a couple of pictures that I really like to share with you. Again, think about our frontline guys staying, working, on night shift, day shift, coming back home and having the, zero risk or minimal risk to be infected. That was our challenge. So we implemented that everywhere it was possible in any form we could. All the major, HSC implementations, so providing PPE all around, keeping social distancing. And when I walk the factory sometime, as you can see from the picture, busy of opportunity of work, but almost empty. But we keep working, we keep trying to have a very minimum number of people maintaining the social distancing, and the number of cases was basically very, very limited. And this was not limited to the factory, it was extended clearly also to the offices, where again, the first actions was to move everyone work from remote. And then working on the return to work policy, we started to define some criteria like, maintaining the social distancing, making sure the flow of the people was clear, giving a visual management, all the implementation of all the indications that should avoid people to have put risk to be too close and then spreading the virus. When you think about the overall execution supply chain element, this was just at the factory level. Logistics was another major place where we have suffered and we have changed a lot. This is give you a kind of it's a busy chart, I understand that, but this gives a full history of what happened from when we started. And again, this follows basically the daily rhythm of the crisis management team that was providing guidance, and the operations were responding with procedures. And then you see there that the world of logistics, so how you can imagine a place, a globe during the pandemic without logistics. We wouldn't be connected, we wouldn't be having food at the supermarket to be distributed to all of us. Logistics played a big role, and I would say I'm amazed still to see that whatever that was happened, logistics has stepped up and defined a lot of mitigation plan actions to decrease the risk on potential contamination. And we have keep shipping, keep receiving material, and we with the same rigor and discipline that we implement in the site, driving execution, and we still are shipping out for our port, serving our customer, and our customers has been delighted and surprised about our ability to continue to have that engine continue to work. Digital, the new normality. Again, this moment, working every day, protecting our people, minimizing the risk has been a major threat, and I would say probably the most stressful piece from my perspective over this period. Long nights, long days, long weekends. It's not incredibly positive. I wouldn't wish any one of you to be in the same situations in the future, because fortunately it's exceptional and it's not always positive. But I keeping a positive approach on learnings. That's all of you needs to do in your life. Probably when you look back in one of the most stressful experiences of your life, you're going to bring always something with you that you're going to change for you forever. And I believe what I want to share in the next few minutes is really what was the most positive things that changed the way we work. And again, digital amazingly came as an incredible transformation. Personally, in 6 years, I have been struggling. I have been kind of a voice in the middle of an industry that was not understanding the importance of digital, right? We are in an oil and gas industry, which is very conservative, and we are not really appreciating the opportunity to transform the way of traditional work. We have customers that likes to come to Montrose. They love to go in the factory. They love to touch and feel, to print paper, to put their signature on a document. They love that. They also do that for business. We were proposing them, don't fly anymore. Come and see on the screen. I can share with you that. And you can avoid taking an airplane from Australia, come to Montrose, which is, by the way, a fantastic place to come, but you can be safer, you can get the same thing. And that discussion with Shell, Total, major oil company, was always being stopped. And I want to share with you one page that it's really, again, transformation. But again, I'm talking to a generation that you guys are doing everything right on digital. So probably if you look at me and say, okay, finally you got there, finally you are implementing there. But I can guarantee you, if you work with us one day, you will find us still having a chance and a lot of opportunity to continue to get productivity. But the guy that you see in these pictures is in front of a major trees that with that helmet was capable to have a live connectivity with Australia and share documents, sharing performance during a system integration testing of that major beast that is behind him, having all his team connected from remote on the other side of the world, sharing whatever they could have seen just physically being in Montrose. And that was in the middle of the pandemic. And that was in the middle of a moment where those guys, by the way, from Chevron, were not able to fly back. So they were, I would say, not in the best, moment of their life, but they were keep doing what they were supposed to do with their colleagues in Australia. And just through the implementation of a digital solutions that I'm not going to give you all the technical details on the left side, but basically we created a digital system that we recorded all the performance. We let the customers see with the camera, with an audio, with the helmets, every single inspection elements that they desired to be seen. And they also check the performance on the screen as they were used to do when they were physically on site. And at the end of that cycle, they basically sign off and they approve it to the next step for that major Christmas tree. That day, we celebrated, I would say, a mindset change where it was not just amazing for us, it was amazing for the customer. And that the voice started to spread out. And my phone started to ring more and more around, I want this. I want to replicate that. I don't need to come. Please help me. Because, I mean, the risk of exposing every single employee of every other customer to something that could be avoided came as a priority number one. And digital really changed that paradigm. For me, amazing experience. And when I talk to people that are as digital as you are, you went through the school and university transformation, but in the industry did the same. Probably at the same speed, but it's an inevitable future for all of us. And that pictures before was also sharing that we have been able to produce face masks in 3D. Let me give you just a little closing on this presentation. Just some few remarks. First of all, COVID is still a challenge. We need to continue to stay focused and understanding that we learn so much. So we know how this pandemic can start. We know the symptoms. We know what is the potential speed of propagation. So let's make sure that we keep all the social distancing, all the preventive actions in place. Let's monitor, let's avoid this again. I want to use 3 keywords for all of you. When you go through the transformation, this is just philosophical, but it's very important. You could have a pandemic today, you could have another challenge in the future, but adaptability, perseverance, resilience are key for future success. The speed of transformation of this globe is not anymore similar to any past history. Today, the way that you see the political environment change, the economical environment change, has a different speed. If you don't go at that speed, if you are not adaptable, if you are not perseverance and you have no resilience, you have no key elements for my little experience to be successful tomorrow. It's more than everything else. The adaptability specifically, because there is no fixed term business model in the future. And this is becoming very, very important. Adaptability can drive a lot of success in the future. And again, probably I'm preaching to people that has already a lot of these, but digital is really shaping the business model, specifically the oil and gas. We're really looking for that as a skills. The future workforce gonna become more and more critical to that skills. For me, it's like 20 years ago, if we were not able to write on a computer, or if you were not even able to, that is an alphabetical element to start be part of the future businesses. And with that, I think I covered myself. section, and I'll pass to Jane on sharing my presentation.
Jen, I'm not going to teach my granny how to suck eggs because I know you do webinars all the time, but you're muted.
Can you hear and see me?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon to you all, and thank you for asking me along here to speak to all of the students at Dundee University. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. So I thought I'd start just a little bit about myself. I am Jen Stewart. I'm a director and head of the Dundee office for Johnston Carmichael. I thought it was useful to tell you a little bit about my career journey and how I got to where I am today. So I was a graduate from Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, where I studied business studies and accountancy. And my course was a 4 years honours degree, where I had a placement year as my third year. I had the opportunity to work at Hewlett Packard at their one of their Scottish bases in South Queensferry, and I worked in their financial services team. This was an amazing opportunity, and I gained invaluable experience by working throughout my placement year, applying the concepts learned throughout my degree and being able to apply that into a practical work environment. I was then offered a job by Hewlett Packard once I'd completed my 4th year honours. And my role then was as that of a global financial analyst. And I'm about to show my age to say that I was involved in projects on standardising accounts payable and receivable when the euro was introduced way back. Anyway, I worked in Barcelona and loved all the opportunities that it brought working in sort of a global team. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed working in industry, but decided I did want to go on ahead and complete my professional qualifications and become a chartered accountant. So I applied for a role in an accountancy firm in Edinburgh and duly started that. Literally day one started, and I was actually asked if I wouldn't mind helping in the insolvency team because there were staffing shortages. So needless to say, I didn't actually look back. I literally fell into my career in insolvency, as a lot of people in this profession actually do. At no point at school or university did I ever think that I would be a licensed insolvency practitioner. So I sat my professional qualifications, and there's an insolvency qualification in its own right. It's really a mixture of accountancy and law. So I'm regulated by the Institute of Chartered Accountants and the Insolvency Practitioners Association, and I'm a member of a business recovery professionals organisation called R3. So I became a partner in a national restructuring firm at the age of 30, and I'm an appointment taking licensed insolvency practitioner now. So in theory, I can be the administrator of an organisation, a liquidator, or deal with bankruptcies of individuals. So I was there with that firm for circa 17 years before I joined Johnston Carmichael last year, where we opened our Dundee office. And my role at Johnston Carmichael is diverse. I basically lead our team locally across all our service lines, albeit my specialism still is in restructuring. So a little bit about Johnston Carmichael. The origins of our firm lie in a partnership formed by two gentlemen, Bill Johnston and John Carmichael, in 1936. From our beginnings in rural Murrayshire, we've grown to one of the country's leading professional services businesses, and we have a network of offices across Scotland and most recently opened an office in London. We've over 850 staff and partners, and we're one of the UK's top 10 accountancy firms. And our team is headed by our Chief Executive, Andrew Walker. So Johnston Carmichael is a PKF member firm in Scotland, which is a family of legally independent member firms with over 400 offices operating in 150 countries. So we have a huge client base of circa 16,000 clients, ranging from small businesses to global businesses, because we have the expertise to be able to deal with these clients, which creates masses of opportunities for all our people and our talent, which is basically key to our firm. So we've expertise across 14 main sectors and 7 specialist service lines. And our aspiration is and has always been to be the firm of choice in all of our markets. Our culture at Johnston Carmichael is driven by our core values, and they're what we believe in. They drive our decisions and affect our behaviour. So it's really important that we all stand by them. They unite us as a firm and form the basis of all our messages. We believe in remaining relevant, doing the right thing, leading our future, and standing in other people's shoes. So any young people that join us basically start on that JC path from the outset. So the sectors that we work across are agriculture, construction and property, engineering and manufacturing, financial services, fishing, food and drink, hospitality and tourism, infrastructure and renewable energy, landed estates, medical and healthcare, oil and gas, professional services, technology and life sciences, and third sectors. So when we have students or young people approaching us for roles, it's quite key to us that if they have a sector interest, that they demonstrate that and highlight that to us, because we like to be experts in our field. So it's a big attraction if we can see what young people are looking for, and it helps place opportunities for those people. So our services are the core services you would expect from a business advisory firm. They're that of audit, business advisory, tax, consulting, restructuring and insolvency, wealth, and corporate finance, and all linked together in that wheel of services. So I was asked to talk about the business world post-COVID, so I thought it would be useful to set the scene of the business world for professional services firms pre-COVID. So prior to the crisis, the most successful professional services firms I've known and worked with tended to have the following points in common. They had a clear vision and strategy for their business, which excited and energized their people. In short, they had ambition and they were able to really articulate that. They had a distinctive culture and set of values, and it's their way of doing business that underpins the brand of the firm, which is absolutely key from a reputational perspective. A clear proposition for their clients and could consistently deliver outstanding client service. And you wanted to be a sticky employer, like we want to be, that basically that we are great at attracting, retaining, and caring for and developing our people. That is absolutely critical. So we adopted integrated and leading edge technology and have processes that are efficient, and they are enthusiastic adopters of technology. We embrace technology as one of our key specialisms in Dundee is looking at the tech sector. That we're not shy to invest in quality leadership, which is capable of aligning the stars of the future. And basically this really established that effective leadership rhythm. So talent is absolutely key to our organisation. So really the challenges faced by professional service firms, including ours over the last 13 weeks. And I thought it was key to basically split this into 3 areas. And actually one of the key areas has been phase 1, which was survival. We had to roll out, and again, as Lorenzo mentioned, our business continuity plan. And, you know, it's sitting there in our compliance and our risks teams. And actually we had named our team the same crisis management team. There's a common theme across businesses there, but it was really to actually roll that out and see if it did work in this pandemic. And I'm proud to say that ours did work, and we have been working remotely really since the 16th of March, whereby we all came home from the offices, and we very much are an electronic digital office and company anyway. So that has basically been a huge value and huge positive for us, that we can still service and deliver the services to our clients, but it has been from home as opposed to have been in the office. We've had to help our clients survive and overcome the challenges because, again, being a client service firm, our clients basically have had their businesses turned upside down instantly. Some have basically had to close. There is no income coming into their businesses at all. So we've been helping them access all of the government schemes available, all of the grants that were available, and ensuring our clients were informed and looked after to help them get through these exceedingly challenging times. Again, we've been advising our clients. We've been doing it ourselves, building cash flow resilience into our firms. I couldn't be an accountant and not mention the word cash flow. So again, cash flow is king. Regular and honest communication with our people and our clients, and communication is key throughout any aspects of organisation, within and out with a pandemic. People need to be kept informed. And then, so this phase has really been all about being agile and being resilient. And it's a case of agility is the way forward, and people have had to basically adapt to do roles that they previously weren't involved in, but our people have pulled together to allow us to move through these phases. So the second phase has really been all about redesigning our firms for the new normal. We've had to review our vision and our strategy and build the business that our stakeholders will buy into, what is viable in this new world. We have to be agile to ensure that we're alive to the services our clients need and ensure we're able to deliver these and adapt our processes to do so. We needed to ensure we've got the right skill set in our business, because what skills do we need more of and less of in our business as we all move towards more digitalisation? Is it the old-fashioned accountant? No, it certainly is not. We are looking at the skills and the students of the future. We're looking at data analytics. We're looking at computer science degrees. We're looking at, a multitude of areas. We're looking at what students can bring to us. What do they think they could do to help our business as we move forward? And basically, we've needed to continue to coach and develop our people in this virtual world. We've had to provide, training on skill sets that people predominantly didn't have. For example, delivering a virtual webinar, which is something that our teams have all become very, very good and confident at doing. We've had to review our office space. How much do I need and where? We've actually conducted surveys around our 850 people to look at their well-being, to look at what their desires are, to look at their challenges, and to see actually what positives have come from them working remotely. And it definitely looks towards that we will have very much a blended model moving forward, in that if people are able to work from home and wish to do so, then we have no desire to pull people back into an office that don't actually want to be working from the office. And again, one of the key aspects we've reviewed is really digitalisation. What else do we need to do to fully digitalise our firm? As I said earlier, we're already very much on that pathway to being entirely digital, and the COVID pandemic has certainly accelerated that. Phase 3 is operating in the new normal. We'll see a lot more agile working, a blend of working from home and the office. We are reviewing our talent. What are the skill sets of the future? We're looking at our service proposition. Our client experience. We need to ensure that our service delivery is as high as before, because a number of our clients are delighted to have the virtual team meetings, and actually we can pull in expertise from all round the geographies, which is no hurdle, but we do still have some clients that will want to meet face to face, and we will certainly deliver on that. Our technology platforms, we are constantly looking at new ways that we can streamline and adapt to ensure that we are basically being able to deliver the efficiencies back to our clients, because again, ultimately we're a service delivery firm and we need to ensure that we are at the top of our game for that. Geography, as I've said, is less of a hurdle in these digital times. It's a benefit that we can pull together all of our team of experts on Teams and Zoom calls. We're looking at data analytics. Leaders have needed more analytical skills around them in a crisis to help them pull together and make decisions. At this particular juncture, a firm's leader typically has more need for the analytical skills associated really with the finance teams. And as we start the process of recovery and rebuilding, we need strong client service and people engagement skills more than ever before. Pre and post-COVID, the most successful professional services firms will be the ones who can create an emotional bond between the firm, their clients, and their people. And to create that emotional bond, it comes back down to the qualities of this professional services firm and the successes I described earlier. The number one issue firms faced before the crisis was getting enough talent. The priorities have changed in the short term, but I firmly believe that we can't take the eye of the people engagement because actually they are so critical to our, our continued development. So I want to just briefly talk about 3 permanent changes, which I believe all firms will see as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The virtual professional services firm. Professional life will not return to the way it was before, although the fundamentals to what it takes to build a successful firm will, I believe, not change. And therefore, we need to adapt to this new world of operating so that in a virtual world we can effectively serve and interact with our clients, effectively manage, coach, and engage our people. A significant proportion of our people will want to have the option of being able to work from home some of the time. So we don't want to cut back on the plans to become a more digital business. We want to accelerate them. And while I think we can all give ourselves a pat on the back for being able to work pretty well virtually, it's only the tip of the iceberg of what we really need to do in building an effective virtual and agile firm. We all therefore need to be in place and have an ever-evolving digital strategy. The second thing is client experience. How do we grow our firm's revenues in a virtual world? Well, many firms have built very successful firms by providing their clients with an outstanding service and experience. We need to reinvent how we do this effectively in a virtual world. How do we grow our firm's revenue in a virtual world? What does business development now look like? Have you considered, what your virtual client offering would look like? This is basically work that our business development teams and business line heads, we're all basically pulling together, looking at this now to see how we can keep current, to see what we can actually do. My own view here is that the virtual client experience will have a growing role, but it won't be an exclusive role. And to create really intimate and close client relationships, the one-to-one meeting will still have a crucial role, and we would be mistaken to think that a face-to-face meeting won't have that role in the future. So we must not simply be a virtual advisor to our clients, and I believe our clients will always wish to have one-to-one contact and not exclusively through a computer screen. So the third is office usage. And essentially, professional firms are going to look very differently on their real estate footprint from now on. Open plan was seen as a good thing in recent times, but in a socially distanced world, we are now having to redesign the workplace, and Lorenzo showed some detailed plans of their offices and structures. So in fact, many firms I'm talking to are looking to take as few people back into their office as possible because of the risk of losing more people to self-isolation should a COVID-19 case arise in the workplace. The needs for office space are going to be very different in future, and I predict that firms will have a significantly smaller footplate to accommodate the same number of people. Offices are going to be used primarily as hubs where people need to collaborate, coach each other, plan and complete assignments, meet clients and access technologies that don't necessarily exist at home. The needs of our people vary considerably, and for many the office layout may still be more productive and conducive to effective working. It all depends on how good or otherwise your working from home setup is. And again, we as a firm have been assessing what our people need. Do they need dual screens? Do they need chairs? How is their broadband? What can we as a firm do to make this whole experience easier and more palatable for our people? So further, having offices to service clients locally will not be so essential, and so many firms' business models will take on quite a different shape. So my view is that the professional services firms will be more client focused, will be agile and leaner in the future, and those most successful in this transition will become the most sustainable and profitable. So I'm going to wrap up my talk with just a few slides on what the Johnston Carmichael path looks like. And as an accountancy firm, you could not be forgiven for thinking it's all about the numbers here, but it's not. At Johnston Carmichael, the last thing we do is treat you like a number. We are characters and not digits. And each member of staff has their own goals and areas of interest. Our training and development programme, your JC path, allows you to get exactly where you want to be. So we embrace individuality here at JC. It's what makes us different. And while we deal in numbers, like I say, you're not treated as such. And historically, we focused on CAs, ACCA and AAT qualifications, but we are looking at that more diverse skill set and skill range now. Really, it's what can our young people bring to help our business strategy. So, starting out your business career, essentially our JC Futures programme is for school leavers, and this is a 6-year training contract and allows you to earn while you learn straight from school. We have summer internships for undergraduates, so midway through your degree you may be looking for some valuable work experience, and I touched on my career path, and that work experience to me was invaluable for getting me onto my career ladder and having the experience and having the opportunities. So our internships normally last between 4 to 12 weeks in our planned programmes, which means you get a bit of insight into what it's really like to work for us. Your internship progress will help you develop the employability skills and knowledge that we prepare you for success in your future career, as well as gaining excellent experience in a business environment and developing practical skills that will serve you well in the future. In many cases, successful interns will be offered a training contract upon successful completion of their studies. This year, we sadly had to cancel our internship programme. However, we have been running webinars, a series of webinars on a weekly basis for our summer interns. So they have still been able to get some valuable insight into our business, albeit in a virtual way. And graduates, when you join us as a graduate, you'll be working with one of our specialist teams where you'll be assigned a line manager who will work with you on your JC path as you begin to grow. When the time comes to start studying towards your professional qualifications, we offer generous study leave so you can focus on what's important without any distractions. So we currently across our team have 160 students of some shape or form. They're either partway through their qualifications, completing their final exams, or they're permanent members of staff doing further training and further professional exams. And we're committed to supporting the communities in which we live and work. The Kilt Walk is just one example of the CSR that we get involved in. And each of our offices organise events locally. It can be anything from kilt walks, bake sales, going to Fox Lake in Dundee locally, race nights, quizzes, really anything there is. So that would be something that we involve or encourage all our young people to get involved in. So I think that's us maybe looking to go towards a question and answer session now. So I'm going to unshare my screen and hand you back to Alison.
Brilliant, Jen. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got a few questions and we'd very much be happy for anybody that wants to drop anything into the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat and see if there's anything particularly that comes up in response to either of those two presentations. But I just want to say thank you so much to Lorenzo and to Jen for sharing their experiences. Two very different industries, but equally interesting and, you know, lots to really to give us to kind of think about. But I guess, you know, thinking about the connection between students and workplaces in general, I wonder if you might just each, and maybe I'll ask Lorenzo to go first since Jen's probably like, where's my water? Just I'm interested in that kind of work experience within a business. So Lorenzo, how would you, I mean, how has that looked before and how do you think that's going to look going forward?
I would say the previous approach was very traditional. Clearly, when you think about the new graduates coming to a business, we were stimulating a lot practicality and practicing something that required a physical presence, right? Interacting with the business and with a very product and manufacturing base like the oil and gas business where I am today, the physical presence and understanding and seeing the product was a significant requirement. And when I reflect on the future now, and I think about an engineer, when I think about someone degreed in finance or someone that has been and wants to come to work with us in any sector, that requirement can't stimulate as much as in the past, right? I can ask them to come and work for us every day, interact as much as possible, walk and see the shop. So I have not yet, and I see that a limitation not just for us, I see also a limitation for the students and the generation that are approaching businesses, because we are creating, unfortunately, a barrier between the topic that we need to discuss and learn and get ideas from both sides. I mean, I can value enough the ideas I collected over the years from people coming out from the university. A fresh pair of eyes always brings an incredible amount of creativity that your daily and yearly experience has been basically refrained, to be stimulated, refrained, to be refreshed. And today, that's how we can recreate that environment is still an open question. Doesn't change our need to be, looking for talents. And by the way, for us specifically, Montrose, we have a significant combination of engineers and new product introduction, advanced manufacturing, 3D printing, digital. It's all about the future of where the globe is going, the manufacturability challenges, the lead time, the productivity. All the generation of the 60 plus people in this call can make a difference in the future of Scotland. Today we can offer them an opportunity to come probably less than in the past physically, but again, nothing can prevent us to really connect through digital way, to connect with us and say, can you walk me through the factory and interact with a video phone, a video call, as we are doing with the customers. So there is a dose of a creativity that we need to continue to inject. This is another adaptability element that we need to stimulate us and everyone in the room here. If you have any idea how you can approach a company today, please give me a call. Let's have a team meeting, right? Because I'm looking for ideas. You can propose to me something different that I'm not yet discovered, but we need you. We need your fresh, brain, your talents, and you need to help us to shape the new globe. We can do, the future is yours, is not ours, but without you helping us and vice versa, we will not shape the future. But the opportunity is there. We are not changing the opportunity. We are investing in technology that will shape the future. We just need to understand how we can recreate that bridge between this pool of talent and us.
Brilliant. Jen, what's your thoughts?
Yep, I mean, I would agree very much with a lot of what Lorenzo has said there. We certainly, the COVID pandemic has basically brought around, I think, some efficiencies that actually have just accelerated a number of things. And we certainly are not going to be looking backwards. It will always be looking forwards. And it is, what are the current requirements? What do we need moving forward? And like I said in my talk, it's not about the traditional means of just having a traditional accountancy student join an accountancy practice. We are looking at the skill sets of the future. So I really would encourage anybody that thinks that the degree that they have undertaken, or the skill set that they have, or the extracurricular activities that they've been involved in has brought them some form of strength and talent that they could bring to our organisation if it looks at, for example, our sector specialisms. So they may in fact have had a background in engineering. Well, oil and gas is a big sector of ours, actually. So that skill set and insight could actually help. So any form of experience that they can obtain in the run up to trying to apply for any positions adds enormous value to us, because it's all about the sector expertise, and we're looking at the students of the future.
Well, and of course, you very nicely take me on to a question that we've had about, for applicants that are looking for a graduate scheme position, how important is it that the degree that the applicant's taken reflects very closely to where they're looking to go? So the specific question is about someone taking an MA psychology degree but looking to go into human resources, and how relevant that degree is going to be for that applicant. So, Jen, do you want to kind of finish your piece, and then Lorenzo will bring you in?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that actually demonstrates, you know, if you basically have taken on some, you know, your master's in psychology, that actually is a huge tick box for me if I, as an employer, to say, well, if you're looking to do something with human resources, you've looked at psychology, and actually the importance of well-being of our people is, you know, is important more than ever now. So actually showing that you understand the psychology behind things, you know, is a huge tick box. So yes, to me that's very relevant, and you know, and very impressive.
Yeah, no, I would just not then echo what Jane was just saying. Actually, I want to give also an additional elements of opportunity. When I think about my business and I think about someone having a degree in psychology, you know, with the mental health that we are challenging today, the HSC team is looking for talents that can support that piece. We have a lot of attention to creating an environment where tomorrow could be different, and then tomorrow could be creating some gap in approaching people, some gap in developing relationship. And this is not just a human resource issue. It's going to be potentially an HSC issue, because we're going to create some additional elements that I can ask an engineer, with all the respect of engineers, I am an engineer, to develop and to define procedures. And but that degree could be absolutely critical. So as an employer, I mean, you see, this is another dimensions that the new environment can generate. So absolutely, that correlation, that ticks is there. Two ticks.
And I would add on to the back of that, I think that anything that you can do that makes you stand out from others when you're applying, you know, for a role, and if you have that on your CV, as opposed to potentially somebody that doesn't, we're going to look as employers at the add value for all of the other areas that it could apply to our business and our clients.
I mean, you've both obviously touched on quite a bit, I think, of an answer to a question that we've had, which is asking about advice for graduate scheme applicants in particular. So, you know, is it about key skills? Is it about work experience? But we've even been asked about LinkedIn profiles. So, you know, where does all of that fit, I guess, in when you're looking at applicants? Jen, do you want to go first?
Yep. So currently what happens with our graduate programs, what we tend to do is, you know, our young people contact us, and it's generally a CV where we start. So we don't probably expect our young people at the moment to have the LinkedIn profiles that are full of lots of experience, because they're generally at the starting point of their career, unless of course they're a mature student and they have got, you know, some detailed backgrounds in there, that we will look to do that. So I would say that it's at the moment it's about your CV, it's about the extracurricular stuff, it's about the experiences that you've had, whereby you can actually I guess, you know, make yourself shine and show us where your skill set actually is, and it's where the add value piece comes. So I wouldn't get too worried about LinkedIn profiles. It's certainly not something we as an organisation at this stage look when we're looking to make senior hires. After sort of the student recruitment stage, yes, we certainly look on LinkedIn and find out a bit more information there, but not at the student stage.
No, I would agree absolutely 100% what Jim was saying. At this stage of your career, I wouldn't say that LinkedIn is definitely the major reasons why we should select one versus the other. Clearly, the university where you're coming, your CV, your value is where we are looking. Actually, this is a sessions where, you know, we are collaborating with the university. We are approaching you, and I believe we know that this is a place where people are going through a journey that can provide us what we are looking for. As Baker Hughes, we have a lot of collaborations with different universities. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Angus Council, just to value a lot relationship, because the relationship and your CV is not just about yourself, it's about the relationship between us and between us as an industry and the university, where they are shaping the, you know, the courses and the skill set in the directions where the business is going. So I would say at this stage, I wouldn't worry too much. Clearly at our age, probably youth, you probably need to work on that. And personally, I spend some time on that, connecting with people. This is the new way of, I was traditionally sending CV. Today, I'm updating my LinkedIn on a regular basis, because this is where the business is looking at you when you come to a different stage of your life. But again, you have 20 plus years to go at that stage. Don't worry about that yet.
So we've had a few questions just asking about how the pandemic has actually impacted on student experience and graduate intake. So has that impacted? Have you still taken on during the pandemic? What kind of time of the year would you normally do that in your organisations? Lorenzo, do you want to go first?
So no, we try to protect as much as possible. Every single intake, there is not just graduate but apprentices, right? Specifically in Montrose, we are continuing to do everything we have been doing. Actually, recently we have been also, thank you, been rewarded and awarded for our engagement with the local institutions for education. So we have not significantly changed for this year. We are protecting as much as possible. Even our training school in Montrose, we have a training school. We continue to have a lot of programs of partnership. So if anyone is interested, please let me know and we connect with you with the training school. We have a very, like a physical place where we create the future talents. The future definitely is not as promising as it was a few months ago. The business is doing every actions to protect. So, but again, where we are going, new technology, new digital, 3D printing, advanced manufacturing, we can't avoid the need of people that has a different, fresh approach to business. We need ideas. So I wouldn't say a risk for that.
Jen?
Yeah, again, I would echo Lorenzo there. We this year we're looking to take on 40 young people, and we will honour that because actually we still have the demand in our business, and we see it as a pyramid. So we need a good pyramid to build our team and our talent pool up. And that's a mixture of school leavers and graduates. This, I would say, at the start of the COVID pandemic, we basically we had to prioritize and think, right, what are we going to do here? And our clients and our people were our most important priorities. So what we had to look at is actually how can we deliver the training to our students who are used to being supported by people in an office environment? So we've had to look at doing things slightly differently. And as basically we've managed to get through the firefighting stage of helping our clients with all the grant schemes and the claims, it's then looking at the priorities of our student population and how can we deliver our model virtually or through a blended model moving forward. And our people experience teams are working very hard on that at the moment. But we're also looking towards the student bodies such as the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Institute in England and Wales, and so on, to see what actually they're doing for the curriculum, for how are they going to deliver the training models moving forward for the future, to take some sort of guidance from them as well as to how we can deliver our training programs. So this year we haven't changed our numbers at all, and really from speaking to our business line heads, which actually I was on a call with earlier this morning, everybody has been asked to review what the student intakes will look for 2021. We do think we'll be on comparable numbers. So that's really when we, from our numbers perspective, but what we tend to do is actually start going or attending all the university open days, which tends to be in the kind of July, August time. And then we look to start interviewing candidates in January with the view to them starting in July. So all that we've done with our graduates this year is instead of them starting in July, they'll be starting in August.
Can I ask something specifically about work experience? And sorry if we've kind of covered it before, but I've certainly heard from other institutions and other firms that there's been just a pause on work placements and work experience. And I think that was maybe in the early weeks of this, as we all kind of said, well, it might only be 3 weeks and maybe we should just pause, and we're not really sure what's going to come of it. So I'm just interested in how your work experience has played out, if it has paused, if you're talking about how that, and if it did pause, how you're going to unpause it. Jen, do you want to go first?
Yep. So we had a number of summer internships due to start us, and we also, for example, RGU in Aberdeen have that placement year, which still is running post me. And we take a number of students on from RGU as well for their placement years. Sadly, at the moment, we've had to suspend those just because it was too high risk to bring people into the office. And these young people at that stage basically could only really learn from being in that office environment, from people being there. So very hard to try and teach processes for the summer internships when they couldn't actually come into the office. So what we have done to try and adapt to be able to deliver something to the students for the placements is basically put on a series of webinars on a weekly basis, taking it across a number of different factors. And actually we've asked the students what they were particularly interested in, and we've focused our webinars to deliver to try and help them and assist them as much as we possibly could.
Great. And Lorenzo?
No, in our case, we have even a bigger challenge in terms of some of our, educational work experiences based on physical presence of the apprentices, for example. We have not really stopped that, and we have been physically having them starting as was initially planned. This year, I mean, for us, is still a very busy year. We still don't see the pandemic impact from a workload perspective more next year. So there was definitely a little bit of a selfish position to continue to keep these guys coming because they are incredibly important to us, while making sure that they were specifically in the shop, in the front line, they are protected as all our employees. So that has been for the graduate, for the engineers, we have been probably delayed again, as for Jane examples, the possibility to approach the work environment, but again through the digital capability, we try to continue to keep that relationship. But from our side, again, 2020 has been a relatively a pause moment because of we are busy. Next year, we're going to see some more, effects of these, but we are trying to work and protect that again. I know it sounds a bit anachronistical when you look at the cycle of the business as shorter, but our cycle is 12, 16 months. So impact of some effects are on a range of a year. So this year for us, with all the protection in terms of an HSC point of view, anything that was regarding, talent and work experience as, let's say, posed from an HSC point of view, but not from a timing perspective.
Do you have any recommendations for how young people can seek out the kind of work experience that they want?
Jane?
Yeah, Lorenzo, you go for it.
Okay. So what was the question? Sorry.
How do young people get that work experience? So, and what's the best way to approach your firm?
I mean, there are two ways, right? I mean, first of all, there are schools and colleges that we are approaching just because we have a relationship with them, right? For the Montrose Academy, for example. So there is a natural way that there we have a regular meetings, we have regular workshop where we talk about us and we have a relationship with them. Then we have a good also advertising process where we share, if you go on our website, opportunity that comes visible, right? And through our recruiting team. And then, I use also these sessions. You have my contact, you have my name, and you can get through an interesting opportunity for the future to see how these can mature in some work experience for the future. So that's the way.
Thank you. Jen?
Again, I think it's about demonstrating what value you can add to a business. So if, for example, in terms of looking at what is it you think that you might want to do and what experience do you think might be able to add value to help you get to that stage, and how can you obtain that work experience? Now, if you're able to basically offer to do work experience complementary for organisations, and they're not looking to be paid significant amounts, but can actually get your foot in the door to show that you are a willing and enthusiastic person, that potentially could be one way to do it. if you're looking, or an organisation focuses on specific sectors and you want to actually try to get in, it's again demonstrating what you are able to demonstrate from what you've maybe done throughout your sort of university, your school careers, and how you can add value. Really, you've got to showcase yourself and try and grasp these opportunities where you can. You've got to be presentable. You've got to basically, if you're writing to somebody to apply for experience, ensure your spelling is correct in the applications, because your initial impressions are of the utmost importance. And if you're slick, presentable, then you just have to grasp these things. Have confidence in yourself and your ability.
Yep, no, I think that's both really, really important points, isn't it? One thing that I was going to say to you both, so I'm conscious of time, we've got about 10 minutes or so, but I wonder if you're both comfortable sharing your contact details in the chat, just so that, or the right way for people to kind of get in touch with you or your firm, that would be really useful. And then I've got a couple of questions actually specifically about the pandemic. So somebody's asked in the chat actually, when did your firms actually start preparing for the pandemic? And was there I guess knowledge about how bad this was actually going to be or how long it was going to last?
Okay, I'll go first if you don't mind this time. I mean, we, as Hughes, we started earlier than probably the other local firms in Scotland, just because we were seeing signs of that pandemic in our operations in Asia. And I am responsible for a site in Indonesia. And I was traveling to Indonesia in November. I was returning from Indonesia, and we were seeing signs of that. But I have to be honest with you, when you think about China sometime and Indonesia, you think this will never happen. And we never really estimated the order of magnitude of the propagation of that. But at the same time, we got colleagues, we got people of our company that were facing that. So our preparation level was a little bit anticipated, because we were basically looking at them, sharing best practices, and the dialogue was faster than normal, I would say, if you are in an integrated global company. Mm-hmm. But as a company, when we started prepared, I mean, again, I would say for us was different phases in a different moment, but already starting from the end of last year, first sign of that was visible to us. And would have been of the order of magnitude of shutting down operations across the globe. If you ask me, no one of us were predicting that situation. But again, then the skill helped us significantly to overcome challenges and be a bit more prepared. And sometimes we were doing things that was not as the country was doing, just importing best practice from other places. That's a bit about our history on that.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. Jen?
I think basically we had our leadership conference the first week in March, where all our partner director group were attending, and actually there was a lot of chat then that actually this was very, very serious. So literally we came back from that on the Friday, and our crisis management team formed on the Monday. And really probably about 2 or 3 weeks before that, our leadership board had already put quite a few provisions in place. The business continuity plan was being revised. Our sort of bandwidth for all our internet and the ability to work remotely was revisited and increased. And really by the 16th of March, we were ready to go. And it was a case of our chief exec was really monitoring very closely what was going on around, looking at what was happening in China. I think once it had basically, once Italy were impacted a lot more, that's really one of the accelerators for us, to be honest. And especially as a huge number of the population of Scotland visited Italy for the rugby internationals. It was again another acceleration, and that's really when we started to look at it and roll out that plan. And that plan is not something that just sat there; it has constantly been revisited throughout the entire period. So we don't just refer to it once, put things in place. We're revisiting and addressing as we go.
Yeah, I mean, I would sort of echo a lot of that. I mean, I haven't really talked a lot about the Chamber of Commerce, but we're a really small team. You know, we're based and work across Dundee and Angus, and there are 9 of us in our team. And some of, I think, what Jen and Lorenzo have said really resonates with the way that we've adapted as well. So whether you're a really large company with multiple sites, or whether you're one that's sort of got international colleagues in international spaces, I think we've all had to adapt. And I think the companies that we see that are the successful ones are the ones that are up for change, are really adapting themselves really cleverly. And I know that our team, our story is very similar, maybe not quite as early, I guess, as Lorenzo's experiences. But yeah, I mean, we did remote testing early in March, and I can remember the weekend we did it. Some of the team where we were all kind of looking at each other going, this is a waste of time, isn't it? I mean, who needs to know whether they can print at home? And then all of a sudden it really got serious, and so we sent everyone home that week just before St. Patrick's Day. And I think a lot of companies did the same thing, because, as Jen said earlier, it's the safety of your people is the most important thing. And then once your people are safe, then the next thing becomes, how do we keep team morale strong? How do we keep our culture as strong as possible? And we've been doing some mad things. And I think some of what we did might have been inspired by a Johnston Carmichael. Did you guys dress up one Thursday for a?
It was a
for your
Friday.
team?
It was
Friday.
It was dress up Friday, and
But
it was
like
full
proper
on
dress
dinner.
up.
Yeah, yeah, it was. And actually, it was the morale, and that has been so important for what we've been doing. Believe it or not, I think next Friday is 100 days in lockdown. So again, there's something that we're going to do for that, and it's about, we've been having regular daily Teams sessions with all our teams. We've having virtual social events, because it has been very, very important for the well-being of our people and our teams to actually keep the morale going. And there's been definitely some positives that have come out of this, because I think we've connected with some of our team members that you didn't see as much of before, but now everybody comes on to the virtual meetings, and there is a lot more connection.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, we use Teams, and I would say not every business probably was as up to speed with using some of these tools as others, and I think we've all had to kind of jump on that bandwagon pretty quickly. So I think we were lucky that our team had really adopted Teams, but not to nearly the extent that we're now using it. But getting to good habits of sharing and knowing where all your files are, and connecting with your colleagues well, and just, I mean, we do team sessions every morning, and we started off where I would kind of almost chair them, be the host of them every day. And one of our colleagues sent me a message one day to say, how would you feel if we kind of all took a turn at hosting? Because he is quite new in our team, is quite introverted, and also his name begins with V, so he was always at the end, because invariably you kind of just run through the alphabet or whatever. So he would always be the last person often the last person that I would ask to kind of share what he was doing. So I said, what a brilliant idea, Vince. Well, since you're at the opposite end of the alphabet for me, you're on tomorrow. He was absolutely spot on with that, because he only got to interact with me on that team session. He didn't get to interact with Donna and Sarah and the others. So that's been a really nice thing. And then we thought, right, how do we extend that? So we absolutely stole the idea from Johnston Carmichael and started off with hats. And that has evolved. So now the person that hosts our team session in the morning chooses the theme. Yesterday was hip hop, which was quite bizarre. It's me tomorrow, so we're all going to talk about what superpower we would have if we could choose a superpower. And if you choose to dress up in your superpower, that's all fine by us too. So we're having loads of fun, but it's definitely got a serious undertone. It's about connecting with people, making sure that they're okay. And you can tell when somebody's not not feeling it and they're not right, and we need to really look after people when they're feeling like that. And the other thing that, so again, I talked about us being a small team, but we had planned this year to bring in a graduate apprentice. So we had a brilliant experience last year. We had a foundation apprentice in our business, and he was in 6th year at school. He was with us 2 afternoons a week looking at business administration. And we said to him, what's on the cards for you for your future then? And university was absolutely what he wanted to do, but we talked to him about graduate apprenticeships, and I'm really, really delighted he's going to start with us next week on a part-time basis, because he still wants his summertime when some of his pals are around, and it might be that, well, we're getting beer gardens, aren't we, before very long, so we're all going to be out and about a bit more, but it's really important that young people are supported into businesses, and there are going to be redundancies and there are going to be unemployment issues in the next probably 18 months to 24 months. And so it's really important, I think, that, young people that are thinking about coming out of their studies and going into business, think about those work experience things that they can do and how do they stand out and how do you do things that are a bit different. And this is exactly the kind of thing, taking part in the summer sessions and putting that onto your CV and taking as much that you can from the career service at the universities and the institutions that you're part of are really, really massively vital. So, there are huge opportunities in this virus, and that we're all connecting in ways that we would never have done before, and the big careers fairs may not happen in real life, and you may not get to go around with your bag scooping up all the giveaways, but there will be the opportunities to connect with the employers, and definitely take advantage of that. So just, I guess, a few kind of concluding comments then from each of you. What's the last kind of message that you would give everybody? Jen, do you want to maybe just go first, and then Lorenzo will finish?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to tap on to what you were saying there, Alison, about the careers fairs. And actually, in my view, don't see that as a negative. See it as a positive, because actually the pandemic has proven that geography is no hurdle. So actually, employers are looking at employing people virtually. So it may have been previously that I could have been based in London but wanted to roll with Johnston, Carmichael in Dundee. Well, I can prove that I can do a huge majority of my role from my home, whether that's in London or where I live. So don't be put off by geography, and actually look at look at all opportunities. Have a very open mind. Try and get work experience that relates to what you think that you want to do. Really research your firm, see what their focus is, and speak to their people, because I think you'll all find that we're all human and we're all approachable. And certainly from what Lorenzo and I have tried to say to you today is that, we are very approachable. Talent is our future, and we need talent to grow and continue our businesses. So good luck, everybody.
Lorenzo, and then I'm going to bring Ailsa in because I see she has her hand up.
No, just the conclusion. I want to make sure that I bring a little bit of positivity in this conversation. I know whenever you talk to people, you are in family discussions, you are hearing, reading newspaper, and there is a lot of negativity, right? At your age, you can't be as negative as you could potentially be influenced by, right? So my invitation to every one of you, stay positive. The world is going slower than normal, but don't look at the traditional way of engaging people or looking at job. Again, as Jane was saying, the employer today can look at you from wherever part of the world. You have remember, you have an English language that can give you opportunity wherever you want to go, and your skill set is appreciated every part in the globe. Again, don't be negative if things are not going at the speed that you traditionally think they're going to go. Again, you can get a contact to the company as you got today, and continue to explore, continue to stay engaged with opportunity, with web seminar, and things will happen for sure in the next future. Probably different than you can expect, but be ready for that. That will be probably even more full of satisfaction and reward opportunity. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Ailsa, you look like you put your hand down again. It may be just because something's been covered, but please come in and say hello.
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 Hello. For those of you who've never met me before, I'm Ailsa. I'm the Employer Engagement Officer at the University. And thank you very much to all the students who've come along this afternoon. That's fantastic. And thank you so much, Jen and Lorenzo and Alison, for all of your comments. I just wanted to add one comment on the end here, which was about careers fairs. So yes, I can absolutely tell you that there will be no in-person careers fairs in this next coming semester. Normally we would run them towards the end of the year. However, we are currently looking at various different platforms to do online careers fairs instead. It's the same across Scotland. Most universities have agreed that they will not have in-person careers fairs for the first semester. And as I think a number of our students know, there's a big online Edinburgh careers fair next month. Again, it's within the summer sessions. dundee.ac.uk/careers/events, and you'll find it in there, okay? For employers, they're definitely looking for more employers to get involved if Baker Hughes and Johnston Carmichael want to do so. And there are a number of platforms out there that we at the university are investigating, but the student body will know all about them soon. If you are current students, or indeed if you are just about to finish your course or you're graduating, please do keep in touch with the Career Service. We are here forever. As a Dundee alumni, you will always have access to the Career Service. So please do get in touch if there's anything we can help you with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks Ailsa. And just to kind of add my tuppence worth in against, you've obviously got contact details for our speakers today and a brilliant insight into their firms. And if you're looking for other work experience or you're just looking to explore opportunities with local businesses, then your career service is definitely the connection, because you know they connect with lots of different companies. We ourselves as a chamber have got over 800 members, so there's a company in every kind of corner of every sector, every size, that should be more than happy to connect with our local students. It's in every single company's best interest to nurture talent, whether what we do is just support you for a few weeks and then you go on to something that's different and bigger and better and something else. But everybody will do as much as they can to support you. So massive thank you to Jen and to Lorenzo. Well done to Sarah for getting us all organised, and to Ailsa for finishing up and doing those closing remarks. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and the rest of your summer sessions, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.